All right, hello. In this video, we're going to be talking about Krypshot, in particular, my setup for Krypshot. I did not create Krypshot, but everybody kind of has their own way of doing it, it seems. This is mine. I'm going to be sharing it because I think this is the easiest way to do Krypshot. The reason for that being that normally with Krypshot, you have to learn the aim and the timing of the shot. This setup makes the aim trivial. So you only have to learn the timing. And there's no shortcuts to learning the timing, you just have to get used to it. But this at least takes away the uncertainty with the aim. Enough of that. Let's watch it first, and then I'll actually talk about it. So that's it. This is much shorter than most of the voiceover tutorials I've done, or at least the source material is here. But we are going to be talking about a couple things besides Krypshot. Two things in particular. The first thing is magic going into the fight. In any percent and in any category that doesn't get a magic upgrade, you have 4 of these little slots, each slot separated by being a different color. You can see this one's darker than this one, and then there'd be another darker one here, and then a light one. Each of those little slots represents 2 shots that you can take with the light arrow. So to do Krypshot, you need at least this one. And coming out of first phase, assuming you had an optimal first phase, you would have these 2 and then an extra half, right? Because it takes 3 shots to finish a phase. So that's kind of your range to expect here. If you have less than this, then you're not going to be able to do Krypshot because you don't have enough magic to do both shots. So that's the first thing. Just kind of be aware of that going into second phase. The second thing is fast spider drop. This is the saddest of tricks because nobody does fast spider drop, or very, very few people do fast spider drop, when the qualities of this trick kind of seem like everybody should be doing it. Basically, fast spider drop is just manipulating Puppet Ganon's positioning so that when he goes up, he gets stuck on the collision. You can see it in the reflection here, these rafters and stuff, and chains up there. He gets stuck on it, so he can't go as high. So when you're waiting for him to come back down for the final shot, he comes down faster. It sounds complicated, but all you're really doing is standing in a certain spot before he drops for the first time. And the reason why everybody should do this trick is because if you don't succeed, then at worst it's the same as not attempting fast spider drop. Right, you lose no time by attempting it. But if you get it, and it's not like this is a hard thing to do, right? But if you get it, then you just save a couple seconds on that. So always go for fast spider drop. It blows my mind that people don't know. I suspect the only reason is that they don't know the setup. It's kind of hard to find. Kiba has a video on ZSR that I'm going to basically plagiarize here. I'm just going to rip his explanation, but talk about it with a bit more specificity. So I'm kind of standing by this central stone platform here, and in the reflection I'm looking at Puppet Ganon. I'm going to look at which way he spins. He can spin 2 ways, obviously. He can go clockwise or counterclockwise from this perspective. If he goes clockwise, I want to move to the right. If he goes counterclockwise, I want to move to the left. The way I think about it is I look at the top part. Well, I don't actually look at it because I can't see it, but imagining how the top part of his rotation moves. So if he goes clockwise, he's moving from left to right. That motion is to the right, so I'm going to move to the right. If he goes counterclockwise, then his motion is to the left, so I'm going to move to the left. And what I mean by move to the right or move to the left, you can see where the platform meets the water. It is a circular platform, but it has these corners, right? It's not a perfect circle. So you can see there's a corner, there's a corner, there's a corner. We're just going to go to the nearest corner. So I'm standing in the center. There's the nearest corner on the right. There's the nearest corner on the left. And we're going to stand in these spots where these 3 lines intersect. So you can see there's the 1, and then these 2. This little spot right here where they all 3 intersect is where you would stand. And then on the left side, there's the corresponding spot. In this example, he moves clockwise. You can see, so I go to the right, stand on the corresponding spot, and that's it. That's it for fast spider drop. That's all you need to do. You try it, and if it doesn't work, then oh well, it didn't work. But if this works, then it saves a couple seconds. The positioning here is pretty precise because we're kind of using this small area of manipulation to sort of influence his movement on a bigger scale. So you do need to get the positioning right. And you know, I can't give you exact ranges here. I don't know the exact ranges. This is just kind of where I stand and try it. You'll get better at that as you do it more, of course. But yeah, just stand there. We're going to wait for him to stop spinning. There we go. And from there, to actually do the setup part of this crypt setup, is we're going to roll 4 times toward the weak spot, in the direction of the weak spot. We're going to roll past it, of course. But another way to think about it, so we roll 4 times total from this spot. Another way to think about it, though, I'm going to pause after the 3rd roll. 1, 2, 3. If, for example, you missed Krypshot the first time around and you wanted to try it again with the last 2 shots, and you didn't have that same positioning, you could also just line up with this little pattern on the bottom of the weak spot and then just roll once away from it. That'll get you in the same spot. So why do we do this? The thing that makes this setup a setup, like, worth talking about is that the aim becomes trivial here because we're going to aim straight up and we're going to aim all the way up. The way aiming in first person works, so I'm going to turn around, aim here. The way aiming in first person works is that the game will stop you from moving any higher at a certain point, and with the positioning we've set up, as long as we look forward, we don't aim left or right, and we look straight up, that shot will hit the weak spot, assuming we time it correctly. Like, it'll be in the correct spot to land the shot. We just have to time it. The one thing to be worried about, and like the one restriction on this, is that if there's a wall behind you, or I don't know, I guess it might be any collision, but just if there's something behind you, the game won't let you aim up to a certain cap. It'll be different. So you need to make sure that you have some empty space behind you if you're trying to attempt this. And with the fast spider drop setup, that will always be the case. So that's one thing to keep in mind. We also need to keep something else in mind. This first shot is a little bit more particular than you might find in other Krypshot setups. Normally, you have like your face jammed into the weak spot here, and you're right up against them, and so you can just take the shot. But one of the things we need for Krypshot to work is the instant reload of the arrow. So watch what happens after I take the shot. I'm immediately going to draw a second arrow. You see how quickly I pulled that out there. That doesn't just happen every time. What needs to happen there is your first shot needs to hit Puppet Ganon's body, and particularly his body. The weak spot actually doesn't count. So if you hit the weak spot, it won't give you the reload. It needs to actually hit the darker part of his body. The arrow will go through his weak spot. So the thing to keep in mind during this first shot is that you need to aim at the top half of Ganon's body, basically the top half of the bulb. And the reason for that is that when we hit him, if we hit his weak spot, he's going to jump up off the ground, and if we're aiming too low, he'll actually jump out of the way of the arrow before it gets to his body. So just to ensure that you get that quick reload, make sure you aim high enough. Let me see if I can stop it. Yeah, so it's not like super high, right? Like, I'm not aiming all the way up here because I don't want to miss it. I guess you probably could aim up here, though, because he does move. Just make sure you're not aiming too low, basically. Aim at the top half of the blue bulb here. Maybe even the top third is probably a good reference. Shot. And then from here, Ganon goes up. You can see his bulb is over here. It was kind of like right in front of us before, so you can imagine that he's moved this. He's going to do the full rotation. And we're going to take the shot a little bit before the bulb gets back to the middle, because the arrow has travel time, so we want to shoot preemptively, but we want to hit him when the bulb is all the way back around. So you can see this. Yeah, it got hit like right above me. That's what makes this setup easier, basically, is that we don't have to worry about aiming at an angle. Most crypt setups, what they'll do is they'll kind of aim up and to the side, and you have to, there's no in-game restrictions like we have with this one. So that's the main difference. But as for the timing, there's not a lot you can say about this. You can kind of keep track of what part of his rotation he's in. You get better at that the more you do it. And, obviously you kind of learn the timing. But I honestly just think of it as a pause. Like, I just have kind of learned how long I need to wait before I shoot the second shot, and I'm kind of using the visual feedback, but not really relying on it. It's difficult to explain. Basically, practice this. And I know it's kind of unfortunate that there's no like specific tips there. Regardless of what crypt setup you do, you'll just kind of have to learn that timing. But that's it. And if we look, this is less related to crypt, but I just want to demonstrate fast spider drop. So I switched to the light arrow there after shooting the keys. And you can see he's already right down here. If you didn't get fast spider drop, this is how you can tell if you've got it, by the way. If you didn't get it, he's going to be closer to the rafters up here, or I guess like over on these ones, kind of, and he's covering it, but where these are, he's going to be higher up, basically. You can see he's pretty low. He's about to drop. And he drops nice and quick. So yeah, do fast spider drop, and then that's my setup for Kryp. Hopefully you found it useful. Like I said, this is, in my opinion, the easiest way to do it because the aim is trivial. It is technically the slowest way to do Kryp, and I'll talk about that. So, like we said earlier, after you shoot him the first time, he's going to do a full revolution. All Krypshot, variants will hit the orb during that some point in that revolution. And most will do it earlier. In fact, all of them will do it earlier because this is one full revolution. We're waiting until he gets all the way back to the beginning. So that sounds bad, but keep in mind that, if you can only do this setup and you can't do the other ones, like me, for example, I can only do this one, and you're worried about that time loss, the entire rotation of Puppet Cannon takes about 1 second. We'll look at it here. Yeah, so between the two hits, that was one full revolution. All of the Kryp setups are somewhere in that revolution. So this one is only going to be slower by less than that whole amount. And in my opinion, it really, my consistency is much better with this one. So up to you what the pros and cons, how they weigh out in that one. I just wanted to disclose that, yes, this is technically a slower setup. But I quite like the consistency of the aim. So that's it. Hopefully that helps. Let's get everybody to do fast spider drop. Yeah, come on, everybody learn that setup. I will also be linking Kiba's ZSR tutorial so you can see that. But yeah, thanks for watching.